So I'm in the queue right now to board the Horseshoe Bay ferry to Nanaimo, heading up to Port Hardy. I guess this is day 0 of my Cape Scott North Coast Trail trip. So I arrived at the Cape Scott parking lot. So I guess officially day 1 after getting to Port Hardy, spending the night over at Port Hardy and then coming up here this morning. It's about 11 o'clock. So this is the trailhead and I will start the trail now. So I'm less than 35 minutes into my trip and I'm already went the wrong way. Got to backtrack a little bit, but I ended up at San Joseph's Bay, a nice little spot here. Okay, backtracked 1.7k, so 3.4 extra today to start things out. I originally went that way, came from that way, but should have turned and went out this way. So, finally made it to Neil's Blight. Just under 5.5 hours, including my 40-minute diversion. Just under 22 kilometers. Nice beach. Got my tent set up here, just along the beach. Morning, day 2. So this morning, I'm gonna leave the camp here, just take a day pack, go and finish Cape Scott Trail down to the lighthouse and come back. 6 or 7 kilometers each way. And then be back here around noon, pack up a tent and head down towards the North Coast Trail. Either Neeson or Laura camp after that, depending on how I feel. Beautiful day here, sun's out, tide's out. Just under an hour from Neil, arrive at Grease Bay. Nobody here, not a soul around. Not one camp, one tent anywhere. Okay, back at Nels Blight after almost a 14-kilometer morning hike to the lighthouse and back. Just under 3.5 hours. I'm gonna grab something to eat, finish packing up, and then move on to the next spot. And basically finished up Cape Scott Trail, and now I'm gonna move over to the trailhead of, well, back to the trailhead of the North Coast Trail. Okay, back to the trail crossing. So made it to Neeson Bight. It's only about 1:30 in the afternoon, but I've done about over 20 kilometers already. I think I'm gonna head to Laura tonight. Should be maybe 2 or 3 hours, but it's going to go through the start of the tough stuff. So I've heard. Find out in a minute. Nice beach here. Not a bad place to stay, but I think I'll keep going for another few more hours. Okay, officially starting the North Coast Trail. Already tell it looks a little bit different. So 2 hours in since leaving Neeson Bight. This trail's kicking my butt. Maybe it was the 20K I did before I started, but this trail's definitely more challenging. So finally reached the beach. Okay, so just over 28 kilometers and just under 8.5 hours. Finally made it to the campsite, which was about 250 meters before the creek, which is the water. I didn't really like that. The campsite wasn't that nice. So I decided to come to the creek, unofficial campsite. I'll put my tent right there, clean out the rocks, and I'll have access to fresh water. Morning, day 3. Made it through the night. A little sore. No bears showed up. So leaving Laura Creek, heading to Shuttleworth. Today apparently is almost all on the beach, a little bit of inland. I've been following these wolf tracks for at least a half an hour or so. So it's starting to rain now. These rocks were okay before, but now they're really, really slippery. Wolf tracks everywhere on this beach. So I made it to the first pole bridge. Oh, there's an otter right in the water there. That's why the ducks ran away. There's 2 otters. Now I gotta pull myself up. Day 3, finish line almost in sight, the end of this beach. Camp number 3. Sitting here watching the sunset, and I just saw a few whales breach, as well as their water spout just out there. I can see them better with the binoculars. Good morning, day 4. So officially halfway, as I have 3 more days of hiking and 3 more nights before being picked up. That's exactly what I've done so far. On the west coast you get ladders, north coast you get ropes. Just met some people from Switzerland coming the other way. The first people I saw on my whole trip. Right beside the dead whale carcass. Trail right through the mud. I've already arrived at Cape Settle. Just over 4.5 hours almost. So there's a small ranger station here. It's closed for the winter, and apparently in June 1st, which is today, it'll be occupied by the rangers. Nobody's here yet, so rather than camping on the beach, if nobody's here in the next few hours, I might set up tent right in front of that door underneath the canopy. Set up. Good morning, day 5. So this little section, we have kind of alternating coves and short little peninsulas. And we have to kind of go up the peninsula and then down the other side into the bay, up the next one, down the other side, up the next one, down the other side, etc. So I made it up that side, and I'm basically sitting on a wall because right down the other side is equally steep. Okay, made it to the bottom. Now I gotta go back up again. Deer in the middle there. Try not to spook them as I cross over. The second cable car crossing the Shushartie River. So just arrived at Shushartie River campsite. Took me just over 4 hours, but a very hard 4 hours. To get to Skinner Creek, I need to wait for a low tide if I don't want to take the forest route. So, had something to eat, had a nice nap. Been about 3 hours. Might be too early for the tide, but I'll walk over to Skinner. All right, arrived at Skinner Beach. Second last night. Gonna put the tent just back there. Camp night 5.
Morning of day 6. So one more day of hiking and one more night to go.
So final hike day. Made the mistake of stepping there. It almost comes up to the top of my pole. Came up to my knee. Okay. Really glad I didn't decide to step there. And that's not pushed all the way down. Just arrived at Shushartie campground. Just a few hundred meters before the end of the trail. Almost to the end. So I've finally finished both the Cape Scott Trail and the North Coast Trail on my 6th day of hiking. A total of 91 kilometers, 0.64 in total. Last camp here until I get the boat home in the morning. Camp number 6, final night. Morning, day 7. So here comes the taxi.